What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a little bit different, obviously, as you can see from the title. This week is Eating Disorder Awareness Week, and this year's theme is It's Time to Talk About It. So in honor of that, it's time for me to talk about it. I feel like I'm finally in a good place in my life where I can share my anorexia story and not be ashamed about it, because there's nothing to be ashamed of, and because I'm proud of myself. This is the first time that I tell my story publicly, and I didn't write down anything for this video because I wanted it to really just flow from my heart. So I'm sorry in advance if there's a few moments where my thoughts are scattered. Nonetheless, let's get started from the very beginning. When I was around 6 years old, I started constantly having anxiety and intense panic attacks, and this continued pretty much throughout my whole life. And when I was 11, it got to a point where it was so bad that I couldn't deal with it anymore, and I couldn't control anything. I was afraid of everything, and I was desperate to find one thing that I could feel strength and control over. I found that to be with food and with the number on my scale. It's important to know that during this time period I was prescribed to wear a brace, a plastic brace that was molded to my body because I have scoliosis, and I was 11, so I was at risk of my scoliosis getting worse. Really quick, for people that don't know what scoliosis is, it's when your spine, which is supposed to be in a straight form, is actually in the shape of an S or a C. Any alternative form like that is considered scoliosis. To avoid mine from getting worse, I had to wear this brace. They gave it to me for 20 hours a day for 2 whole years. When I finally did make this choice to control my weight, I started starving myself. I was eating maybe a fruit a day. I was weighing myself obsessively, like 12 times a day. I would weigh myself to the point that if I drank water, I had to make sure I didn't gain weight because I was convinced that even water would make me gain weight. I was wearing this plastic brace so tight, I was like strapping it onto my back so tightly that I had cuts and bruises all over my torso. I completely lost the strength to be present anywhere because I genuinely did not even have the energy to think straight. I was excessively working out and burning myself out. I was failing school because I didn't have the energy to go to school. Basically, my entire life revolved around eating. It revolved around food, and food became something I was deathly afraid of. I couldn't leave my house and go eat somewhere with my family because right beforehand I would get a panic attack knowing that I would have to be confronted with food. This obviously led to many countless fights in my family, which was the worst part about my anorexia. Through my own experience, I realized that my eating disorder was not at its worst when I was the skinniest I've ever been. It was not at its worst when I would look in the mirror and could count my ribs. My eating disorder was at its worst when I gave up my life and I stopped living my life because of food. That was when my eating disorder was the very worst. After I got over this first wave of anorexia and I started eating again, I felt completely insecure about myself because I knew that everybody knew I was anorexic, and I wanted people to genuinely think I was normal again. And so I started overeating, binge eating everything, and specifically I would do this at school in front of the kids my age, just so I could prove to them, oh look, I'm okay again, which was not true. Just because I was eating again does not mean I was okay. Obviously, that resulted in me gaining weight and starting to hate myself all over again, and so the whole cycle happened again, all over again, because I never really healed. It was only when I realized that it wasn't eating, it wasn't food, it wasn't people thinking I'm normal, none of that was me getting better. All the strength and inspiration and motivation and love that I needed to get over anorexia was in myself. For me, I found that in music, which is why I loudly and proudly preach that music saved my life. which is why to this day, the one thing I still do every single day is I sing, because it keeps me healthy, it keeps me happy, and it teaches me to love myself in ways that I can't describe. When I fell head over heels in love with music, which had always been something I loved, I always sang, but it wasn't until I really threw myself at it that I miraculously started getting better. When I think about it, I realized that the reason why I got better was because of love. It was love for music, which in turn meant love for myself, because I was making myself better every time I sang. Today I am 21, living in Los Angeles all by myself, and I am here because I am working on my EP, which is a dream come true for me. I am currently writing and recording my EP, and every single song on this EP is a moment in my life and in my journey that I am writing about because I feel like I have a message to share. But most importantly, the message that is all throughout my songs is love, and love for yourself, and finding that love inside of you, not in any exterior sources. I'm not gonna lie and say I'm perfect right now, because I'm not, and nutrition is still a giant part of my life, as is fighting anxiety, but I can say that I'm the happiest and the healthiest I've ever been. Literally a year and a month ago marks the day in which I made the decision, because life is all about decisions. Please make the right decisions. I chose to be healthy, to eat clean, to love myself, to meditate and journal every day, and to exercise because I wanted to be healthy, not exercise to be skinny. There is a huge difference between those two things. Now I eat healthy literally 95% of the time, and that other 5% I enjoy eating sugar, ice cream, chocolate, brownies. I enjoy it because it makes me happy. I have days obviously where I feel very bad about myself and I don't like how I feel. We all have those days because we're human. But the important thing is that on those days, you don't give up, because failure does not mean having a bad day or having a bad week. Failure is when you give up trying. Please, not just this week, but in general, if you have a story to share and you know somebody that is going through something similar to your story, or someone that is having trouble, give advice and share your love. That's exactly why I'm standing in front of this camera sharing my story today, because I want you to know that recovery is possible. All the strength that you need to recover from anything, any obstacle, is all inside of you. Get in touch with yourself and really listen to what your heart tells you. Whatever it tells you makes you happy, please follow it. If you have any questions, if you want to talk to me about anything, if you need any help, you have all my social media. I am here to listen. Thank you, and I'll see you guys next time.